Paul, why are you mad now? Wait, you gave me the secret sign and I didn't respond? What's the secret sign? You don't know because it's a secret? What? Welcome to another episode of the Mighty Code Coder. I'm Rob Fitzgerald, here to make you great and help you innovate. In this episode, we are going to see variables in actions. Variables in action. We're going to learn that some objects come with predefined variables, and other variables can be made from scratch, or custom variables. Remember, variables are really talking about data. We have to define what type of data it is so we can pass it around, print it, store it, whatever. Also, remember those escape characters? Yes, Paul, secret signs. So we're going to talk about those, and let's see if we get our head around those again. And let's get going. All right, so once again, I'm in my AP, or in my computer science, intro to computer science class, and we are going to start with intro to computer science. But in the same video, I am going to talk about my AP computer science principles class and my AP computer science A classes. If you're in those classes, go ahead and scroll ahead to where those classes begin. So for intro, I think the first thing I want to do is make sure you understand the pacing guide. I showed it to you yesterday, but let's look at it again. And here is somewhat of a pacing guide. Let's see. I think this is it here. This is not it. This is actually the wrong class altogether. This is actually AP Computer Science A. I have to go to Intro to Computer Science. So let's go back to my dashboard. This is Adhesive's Canvas. Adhesive is doing this for AWS, Amazon Future Engineer Program. And they're calling it Intro to Computer Science. I think my school wants to call it Computer Science 101. Getting all that confused. But anyway, so if I go into my intro class, I go down to the unit we're on, which is 1.8. And I scroll down to my pacing guide for the week. We are on week 3, and these are the 3 things. Yesterday we did data types and variables. Today we're doing analog versus digital. Really kind of a abstract lesson here. I don't know where it really hooks in. Same thing with understanding binary. And all computers are binary. They're just zeros and ones, where we use a deca, or a decimal program, which is base 10. So binary is very confusing because you guys are so used to base 10. You've been doing it ever since you were in, started school, whenever that was, preschool, kindergarten. And then you go to binary, and it's a base 2. You only have two numbers. And every time you go 0, 1, it switches over. Just like if you in the deca, if you go 0, 1 through 9, and then it switches it over to 10, and then 10 to 19, then it goes to 20. Every time a digital number or binary number switches over, it's just 0, 1, okay, and then it switches to the next column. So it's neat, it's fascinating. Just because you don't understand binary will not be the difference between whether you're a good computer scientist or not. So these two these 1.8, 1.9 are somewhat arbitrary, but they are part of the curriculum, and they are part of the exam that they're going to give you in Unit 1. So we got to go over it. All right, so that's what we'll do. So we did 1.7 yesterday. We'll do 1.8. Okay, and I think we're going to try to get through 1.9 today too. I'm trying to do 1.8 and 1.9 so that you guys then can do the reviews and the exams with everything already talked about. And remember, you still have the videos within the lesson, and you have the YouTube videos. So let's with that said, let's get going. All right. So the very first thing that you do in 1.8 8 will be, obviously, watch the videos. Okay, this takes about 12 minutes to watch these videos. Okay, and there's 3 of them, and they are going to talk about analog versus digital. Now remember, I really like to just really clarify this. Analog is like film, and maybe you guys have seen film, maybe you haven't. I know we're starting to get to a generation that maybe has never seen film before, but when things were put on a negative, they called it, or a film, that was analog. There's a lot of information. When you took a picture with the camera, the light came in and it would give you colors and detail and contrast and all this other stuff. And then when we turn it to digital, that's just zeros and ones. So in the long run, you kind of miss. Like, let's say yesterday's, you remember yesterday's lecture about ear sketch? All right, and we're going to put a distortion piece, and the distortion is from 0.0 to 0. Or to 1, 0.1. Okay, something like that. Okay, and so you could have variations 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and I think I put 0.5 in, and it goes, yeah, it goes all the way to 1.0. Well, so it's what happens between 0.4 and 0.5. Is there information in there? It feels like there's some information in there, but not in computers. It's just either 4 or 5. But when you take a picture with a camera, there's probably detail between the 0.4 and the 0.5 that gets in there. So analog has a lot more information, and digital gets cut off. And that's why they say that sometimes when you have songs that are digital, they're not as deep. They don't have as much information as an analog song, like an album. So every morning when I play music in here to start the class, I'm playing it on an album, okay? The old, turntable. And I just think it's just a richer, deeper sound. I just think it has more information. All right, so that's analog versus digital. She's going to talk about that. I want you to watch those 3 videos, and then they do another ear sketch, okay? And for some reason, my ear sketch is not running, but they run 2 pieces of information, one analog and one house drums, which is digital, and see if you could tell the difference. If you run that, I feel like the analog was better, and that's having a hard time loading. Is yours guys having a hard time loading? All right, so walk yourself through that, and for now I'm going to go ahead and skip to the first practice. Okay, and I'm going to preview this practice. Okay, and it's just kind of a quiz on all the information in the videos and the reading. All right, so I'm going to submit it even though I haven't answered anything. And I'm going to move to the next section. See, I got them all wrong. All right, and then we get to this coding practice. Okay, so in the coding practice, you guys have to basically correct these errors. So here's what it says in your code editor. There's some code meant to output versus songs of Old MacDonald Had a Farm. But you can see it's a little bit wrong. And it uses variables to put in what type of animal or what type of sound. But sometimes it does, like right here, it says with an animal. And you know that's a sound. Okay, so if you say the animal is a pig, and it says with an oink oink here and an oink oink there. So this should not be animal, this should be sound. So they want to make sure you understand when to use the variable and which variables to use. So you just have to go through and complete that one and clean that one up. Okay? And then after you get done with cleaning that one up, you run it, grade it, get that turned in. And then we're going to go into the next one, which is the binary piece in 1.9. Okay, and you have about 14 minutes of videos here. And remember, it's just talking about binary or decimal. Okay, and you're used to decimal 0 through 9. It's really 0 through 9. It's not 1 through 10. Did you know that? It's 0 through 9, and at 10 it switches over to the next column. Okay, you put a 1, and then it starts with 0 again. So that's why it's 0 through 9. All right. The next number after 9 is now a 1 and a 0, so it rolls over. And then when it gets to 9 again, it switches to a 2 and a 0. All right, so decimal is just like binary, but binary just has 0 and 1. And every time it switches over, it adds a 1. And it goes to 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 3. Okay, so it goes a lot quicker. And so watch those videos. Binary is very, very, very cool. You can count in binary. And then what I want you to do is try to do the 1.9 practice and it's a similar type of, well, this one's a quiz. And by the way, the quiz is not even graded. It's just for practice. It's not graded at all. You get no points for it. They just want to see if you could count in binary. Okay, so all you have to do is go click I have completed this exercise and submit it. Now, your next class, AP Computer Science Principles, we do a little bit more binary stuff, but they're trying to introduce you to it. All right, and then you go next, and basically what you're going to do is finish up this whole unit. And now they have some practice for you. Here's some vocabulary practice. Go through that. These are some nice cards. This is actually Quizlet, and so if you've seen Quizlet before, it has, you know, back to the front process, you know, and you could click it and it switches the back. It's like flashcards. You ever seen flashcards? So your next one, here's the vocabulary. Switch it, the compiler, program to translate written code, compiler. All right, back and forth, and so you could kind of prep for your test that's coming up. All right, and then they have this program called Silly Sentences, okay? And that is an assignment that you have to do, and you read it, and it's kind of like a Mad Lib. You're gonna add a verb, an adjective, and it's gonna create silly sentences for you. But it's a lot of that, you know, storing data in a variable, and then system.out, or actually in Python it's print. Okay, your variables out into a silly sentence. All right, and then you're going to end up here with test number 1. So this is unit 1. This will be your test 1, and there'll be an access code, which is salmon, and it'll be 20 points, and it's graded. Okay, so that's what you have to do to finish this. And then, of course, in this unit, we have the AWS project static web page for him. Someone emailed me and asked, when does this due? This is never due. This is an extra credit assignment, so it's always kind of open. Make sure you do it, because today's AWS day, so maybe you want to stay doing this. We already started it, and if you get done with your test and you're sitting there going, now what do we do? Yeah, do your website, get your extra credit points. Okay, so that's all there is for you guys today. And so I'm going to pause it here, and then we'll bring in AP Computer Science Principles and go over what they have to do today. But you guys have your work cut out for you, 1.8 and 1.9, and I'm here for you if you have any trouble. All right, so now let's go into AP Computer Science Principles and go over what you guys have to do today. So I'll go to my dashboard, and I will go into Computer Science Principles, and I will go to my modules. And remember yesterday we started at 1.7. We were talking about variables. Hopefully that came out. I was looking at my video after. I always go over my videos, and sometimes things came out clear. Sometimes I forgot that I wanted to talk what I wanted to talk about. But we did board work yesterday, and I really wanted to talk about casting, and hopefully you understand that you can cast variables. And in Computer Science Principles, you don't cast as much because it's kind of a dynamic setting, or a dynamic assigning of variables with you guys with Scratch. So you don't have to worry too much about it. They don't want you to have to worry about what type of variable it is. But it does behoove you to understand that you are storing data, and your data is being stored as a certain type. And then sometimes you want to switch that type, and you could cast it. So anyway, that was variables yesterday. So let's now do 1.8, defining variables. I believe that's what we're on, right? And then we're going to do 1.9, applying variables. And then you guys have the Unit 1 Quiz 2, some vocabulary practice, a review, and then the big Unit 1 exam. And I think we want to get to that by Friday, just if you're trying to keep up with the class, okay? And then I had that big AWS static web page in Unit 1 as your extra credit for you. I don't know if I'm going to have an extra credit assignment for every unit, but for Unit 1, I gave you that, and that will remain open. I know it says 0 points here. That's how I have to put in extra credits, but I did put it's worth 100 points here. Okay, so understand that's extra credit, and that will remain open even if we're in Unit 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I just put it in Unit 1. All right, so let's go to defining variables 1.8. I guess what I wanted to do too, I have in my notes, I want to make sure that I'm doing the pacing guide with you guys, because I think you guys like to see that. And I showed it to you yesterday, but I think it's not inappropriate to start with it every day. Okay, so here's your AP Computer Science Principle. This is your pacing guide, and here is week 3. So it's 1.8, 1.9, and Unit 1 quiz and Unit 1 exam, which this is great because it just reminded me that actually we did 1.8 yesterday, not 1.9, or not 1.7. So yeah, it was 1.8. So all we have to do is go to 1.9. Glad I did that. All right, so let's go back to my module and start with 1.9. Some of you guys were probably trying to say that, weren't you? You're probably on here texting me saying, we've already did 1.8. Please don't do it again. Is that what you're saying? I see just people not saying that. Or actually, I see people saying they got here. And John, we got to get you going. Okay, so I'm going to have about 13 minutes, I think, towards the end of this video, and I'm going to try to work with you, okay? Try to get in, though. You keep trying. All right, so here is 1.9, applying variables. All right, so you have about 13 minutes. These are the videos, and it's talking about variables either being they're system variables, okay, so they're already in Scratch. They also talk about there being object variables, and yesterday we talked about objects with CSA on the board work, and I wanted you to understand that an object has variables in it. You know, so if I did a student object, one of the variables might be GPA, and it might keep your GPA stored. Okay, you can also make your own custom variables. All right, and it'll talk about that. It also talks about making a random variable. Okay, so you could randomly get a number, and that's big in making games and whatnot. Very powerful. And there's the custom variables. So all these will talk about Scratch, how they declare variables in Scratch, and I'll let those videos speak for themselves. And then you're going to start this game. And basically, you're going to have this bug, and this cat is going to randomly show up on the screen. And if it ever touches the bug, it's going to say, ouch, or something like that. So you want, when they touch, the variable to be presented or printed to the screen. So that's interesting. So variables can be submitted or printed on actions. Okay. Exercise B is you're trying to create a race between these two, and they both get random numbers, and you see who wins, and you don't know who's going to win because they're both going to be getting random numbers to how far they move. All right. And so you can watch that video, and that video I think is, let's see how long that video is. I think I wrote it down. That about 11 minutes you have videos for that. Okay. Then you want to do 1.9, exercise A, B, and C. And I think what I just showed you was C, and I kind of rushed right by it. So let's go back over it. All right, here's C. All right, and it's just basically a discussion. Value of custom variables, about making your own variables. Like I said the other day, what about a GPA variable where you're going to hold a GPA, and it's not an object variable that's made through Scratch. You got to make it yourself. So what's the value of creating your own custom variables? And yesterday we did on the board, we made X, or we did name, we made our own custom variables. And so you'll watch this movie and answer these questions and then submit it in a Google Doc with your URL here. Okay, so you're doing exercise 1.9, A, B, and C today. And you're going to examine how the dynamic state of an object or program can be stored and changed using variables. You're going to evaluate the effectiveness of using clear descriptive names for objects, behaviors, variables, and other identifiers in maintaining the readability of code. And you're going to try to integrate randomness into a program through the use of a random number generator. All right, when you get done, there is a Unit 1 quiz. Let's see if that quiz has a, it might have a, I was going to think it had a, it just, the quiz is actually, you could take it unlimited times, so take it until you get the grade you want. There's no password to get in. And I want you to go sometime this week. I want you to finish the unit with the unit exam. And before that, there's a Unit 1 quiz. And there it is. The access code is powder. I want to make sure I put that. Let's put that, write that down somewhere in your notes. Okay, so Unit 1 quiz 2 is powder. So they have these access codes in case we're in class and I wanted everyone to take the quiz at the same time, but we're asynchronous, so I'll give you that to have. And then they have this great stuff. This is called Padlet, and I don't know if your other teachers use this or not, but it's really great to kind of, you know, practice your vocabulary. So binary, you know, they want you to find binary. Let's see if I could find where binary is. Let me see. I can't find it. I'm trying to see a series characters length can be type of a variable. Machine code that is direct, low level. I'm gonna go binary with that one. Can that be binary? Oh, finally. Okay, got it. All right, so you could practice what you learned in Unit 1 through that Padlet, and then you go to the Unit 1 review. All right, and this is another review for all the stuff you learned in Unit 1. And I'm going over this. I'm not saying this all has to be done today. This should be done. You should gear to have this done by Friday. Okay, and then the Unit 1 exam, and the access code is poetry. So let's put that somewhere where you guys cut and paste that into your notes somewhere. Okay. So I just put that in the comments. So make sure you copy and paste that somewhere. I know we're going to get here Friday and someone's going to say what the code is, but there it is right there. So please paste it somewhere so you don't have to ask me again to go in that, okay? So that is CSP, all right? So you guys have your work cut out for you, all right? And just remember, you are going to work on those coding exercise 1.9 A, B, and C. All right, let's go into CSA. CSA, hopefully you guys were watching those videos, okay? And I think the best thing we can do for you guys is start with the pacing guides also. So CSA, we are in September 8 through 11, and we are doing, let me get this out of Paul's face here. All right, we are doing Unit 2, Lesson 1. We did that yesterday, did some board work. And then we're going to do Unit 2, Lesson 2, okay? And escape characters, and then the end of the week, we just want you to get to Lesson 3. All right, so that's what you want. You want 1, 2, and 3. Today I'll go over Lesson 2. Okay, and so let me go back into Adhesive, go into my CSA, and I'm going to click on my modules and go down to Lesson 2. Someone wants the Unit 1 quiz password. Check the, I think I typed it in, Colin. I typed, CSA. No, I don't have it for CSA. Hold on, let me look for it. All right, so I'm going to go to Unit 2. Colin wants the Unit 1 password, and I'll put that in here after. I think this is it right here. Is this not it? Unit 1 quiz. And it's truffle. All right, there you go. And let me go back. I guess I just showed that on the screen, which I did not want to do. Sorry. Sorry, adhesive. I didn't want to do that. But all right. So let's go to Unit 2. I'm going to, you know what makes it easier to go there is if I close the little triangle there on Unit 1. And now Unit 2 is open. And there is Lesson 1, which we did yesterday. And here is Lesson 2. So CSA, your Unit 2 starts with a fast start. And this is like they start with a quiz. And this is not it's like a pre-test, post-test thing, which is not bad. You do a pre-test, and then you do all the work, and then you take a post-test, and you see if you know, that's what we were doing at South Hills. We were doing that pre-test, post-test stuff just to see if learning took place. And it always did. It always did. When we actually end up taking the AP exam, I'm not so sure it did. But kids were able to show that they did get improvement from their pre-test to post-test in class. But again, I don't know how much it transferred onto the AP test. All right, so there's your 3 videos, and I believe that's 14 minutes of videos that you could watch. Okay, so I want you to watch those, and I think you guys already did that. And then we're going to go into your coding activities. And again, it has a quiz to review. And here's coding activity 1, which you'll do. You're going to use escape characters. All right. And I am going to do with you this one right here, which it shows that it's already done. So let's do that. Let's delete it and start it over. Okay. All right. So here's what it says. It just wants this command. Okay. And so the big thing about this is escape characters. So if I'm trying to quote something, you guys know in a quote is a string, but I want maybe a quote in the string. How do I get a quote in the string if the quote is the string itself? I have what's called escape characters. And what about if in a string I want in the string the next bit of letters or sentence to be on the next line? How can I do that within a string? You know, do I have to do 2 system.out print lines? Not really. There's these escape characters. So that's what this whole one's about. So let's go ahead and try to do this. So I know yesterday in the errors of my way, when I coded yesterday, I was coding on a system that was just too small. So I got to make sure, and you guys got to help me. Put in the comments, please make the code bigger so we could see it on an iPhone. I want you to be able to see these videos anywhere. And I know you guys most of the time are on your phones when you're watching them, maybe. I don't know. Sometimes you are. And I want them to be, I don't want you to have to be sitting at a computer all the time. I want this to be big enough to see on an iPad or iPhone. So I want to make sure I scroll in when I do my coding activities. All right, so here's my coding activity. Let's make sure I can center it so nicely right here by Paul. All right, and I got to remember what the sentence is. The sentence is, I do not fear computers, I fear the lack of them, by Isaac Asimov. Okay, and I guess what I could do is I could copy this, all right, and then zoom in, and then paste it so you guys could see this. Paste. Okay, there it is. All right, so how do you print this to the screen? Well, you know it's the great system.out.print line, and it's followed by some parentheses. Okay, and so there, that's how I'm going to start. Paul's in the way now, so I want to make sure I have this look good for you guys. Okay, all right, so I want this exact line, but I want the quotes. If I run this, it's just going to say I do not fear computers, but there's not going to be any quotes in there. But I feel like I should run it. Let's go ahead and run it. Let's run it at like this so you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so if I run it like this, first of all, I get an error. It doesn't like the error. Let me see. Oh, well, I got to remember I'm going from, you remember my first period class is Python where we don't use semicolons. So now there's semicolons. Okay, so I've got to put this in here. For some reason, this IDE, when you put it's trying to help you out, and by putting another quote for you, and if you just want one, it makes it kind of difficult. Okay, let me run that code. There we go. So if I run this, okay, zooming in, make sure you guys see, it just has, I do not fear computers, I fear the, but we have to have quotes around it. So how do you get quotes around that? So the way to get quotes around that is you put a, and this is, again, as an escape character, you put a backslash. Remember, it's back because the very top of that is going backwards. Backwards. It's going that way. I had to reverse what I wanted to do because I'm like looking in the mirror. And then you put a quote. Oops. And then you put a quote. Okay? And so that will keep that quote in. And I believe I have to do another one here. So I'm going to go a backslash quote. And then another quote. All right, something like that. Let's save that and run that and see what that does. It's running. Oh, there we go. Look at that. And sometimes better to be lucky than good. I do not fear computers. I fear the lack of them. And you see I have a quote. The quote's quoted. Okay, so that escape character backslash quote got me in there. And it also wants this, the person who came with that quote. And it was Isaac Asimov. Does anyone know how to say that? Okay, so let's go ahead and remember it wanted that on the very next line. So how do we do that? Well, if I go backslash n within the quote, backslash n, and then let's go Isaac Asimov. Okay, and then I do a quote. I think that's it. Is that it? Do you guys think that's it? Do you guys want me to scroll in tighter so you can see it? Okay, so the escape character is a backslash quote, and then a backslash n puts it to the next line, and then Isaac Asimov. All right, so these are called escape characters. And then if I go ahead and run it, it looks like that. It looks pretty good. I think I'm going to get a good score. Should I run the grading piece of this? Probably not, but I'm going to do it anyway. Here's the grade. Check the code. I did it before, so I think I got this right. And it checks it, and hopefully I got 100%. Most of the times, the errors you're going to have is like spacing, and I might have some spacing errors here. Ah, no, I got it all right. Okay, so that is activity 2 for you. All right, and I want you to do lesson 1. Let's see, was there activity lesson 3? I don't know if there was. Yeah, there is. Okay, so that's more things that you have to do. Work on that. Try to get 100% with it, and keep going. And again, you guys are trying to go all the way through lesson 3, and so that's where this starts, and that's where I will end. Okay, so that does it for this episode. Hope that you enjoyed it. Remember, always trying to make you great and help you innovate. So until next time, what, Paul? I know. Okay. If you have any questions, leave comments below, or you can go to the website at www.themightycodecoder.com or find me on Twitter at mightycodecoder. By the way, yesterday's show is up on my Mighty Code Coder Twitter. I'm trying to make sure the shows get up there too and get active again on that Twitter account. So check it out. And I will see you next time.